You're back with the Monocle Daily, live from Studio One with Victoria Graham and Emma Nelson. Now, nobody wants to be bottom of the class, least alone a country. But results from the latest International Education Ranks, or PISA tests, have revealed that some countries are stagnating in terms of public education. 500,000 15-year-olds were tested across more than 60 countries. The results show Asian schooling systems, with their associated tiger mothers engaged in after-school hot housing, are doing well. Those with a culturally more relaxed attitude have fared less well.
Whether you love it or hate it, this educational assessment, which is carried out every 3 years, has revealed the changing face of the education world, recording Asia's rise in the tables to the fall of once education superpowers in the West. And there's no doubt that countries are taking note of the results. As one of the world's most influential figures in education once said, your education today is your economy tomorrow.
So how true are these rankings? Joining us now is Martin Carnoy, Professor at Stanford University's Graduate School of Education. Welcome to the programme, Martin. How seriously should we be taking these rankings today?
I don't think that they should be taken very seriously. I think they're interesting, and they were interesting when they were first done. There are many more countries taking it today. Many Chinese cities are taking it. And I think that the scores in math, for example, are correct. I think the Asian students are doing much better in math than the European students. But I don't know what it means. I think it suggests that they study a lot harder, and they probably learn a lot more math. They do well in the other tests as well. Does it mean that their lives are significantly different in the future of these countries affected? I don't think so.
And Martin, I mean, is it really all about maths, reading and science? Shouldn't we also be measuring extracurricular activities which enhance the students' credentials?
Well, it's not only extracurricular activities, it's also the creativity of the students. These PISA tests are supposed to measure critical thinking because of the kinds of problems that they're given, practical math problems. But I think that students who are good at mathematics and reading will do well on these tests. I mean, there's no question of that. The real question is, does it mean that the societies are going to be more creative, that they're going to be at the head of the pack in terms of new product innovation, new technology? I don't think so. A good example is that two of the most innovative places in the world, which are Northern California and Israel, score pretty low on these tests, and yet they are two of the most advanced in the technology field.
Admittedly, that given, isn't there on the other side the likes of numerous blue chip companies who insist that your graduate degree program is only staffed or is only drawn upon from the absolute intellectual and academic elite, regardless as to how creative, how innovative an individual may well be? Unless they have top grades academically, they won't even look at them.
Yes, well, I see here that I'm looking at the PISA scores in front of me, and I see that the UK has 12% of its PISA test takers in the top math categories, 5 and 6. So I don't know what the school population of 15-year-olds is in Britain, but I suspect that 12% of that is a large number. So you have a pretty large elite scoring quite high on the test. The average score is below is about the OECD mean in the UK. UK numbers on the PISA have just dropped like a rocket between 2000 and 2009 on both reading and math, and I believe science as well. But then on the other hand, English scores on the TIMS have actually gone up. And if you divide by the family academic resources of the kids, if you divide them into categories, actually the Brits do quite well at the high highest level. So on the TIMS, but not on the PISA. TIMS is a more curriculum-based test. So these, it's very complex to interpret what these, what you should be testing the kids on to make these kind of claims that somebody is well prepared in these subjects or not, and who is performing better and who's performing worse. Nobody can explain why the UK scores have gone down so much in the last 12 years in Britain. Nobody can explain it.
Should we be looking at the teachers, maybe? Because maybe from these results we should be saying, well, let's invest in more training for teachers, because maybe teachers in the UK don't get as good a training or longer hours of training than other countries who are doing better.
I think that's, I think you can draw that conclusion. I don't think you can get any evidence out of the PISA tests for this. PISA doesn't even give a teacher questionnaire. So the only thing we know about the teachers is derived from a school questionnaire, which is filled out by the principal. So we don't even know anything about the teachers from this particular test, this survey. I think it's very hard to draw that conclusion directly. I mean, you can draw that conclusion just believing that teachers are very important to students' achievement. I believe that. But how important are they versus the general educational environment? In Asia, particularly in the countries that do well, families are investing an enormous amount of money in their kids in tutoring and after-school schools. We don't even know how much the schools themselves contribute to those high test scores versus these other activities. You asked me about extracurricular activities. The extracurricular activity in Asia is basically studying for tests.
Martin, you mentioned you cited the United Kingdom as an example, which showed a few baffling results. That the United Kingdom and other countries have reacted to this news today, the PISA results, with not necessarily a great deal of discussion about the welfare or the success rate of the students, but of a great deal of political infighting, with every political party blaming the other one for failed education policies, because obviously no one stays in government long enough to make any lasting change. Would you argue against the relevance of the PISA test for the future?
Well, I mean, what are we going to do about the poor Finns who now dropped out of the sort of the elite in math? What does that mean? I just don't even know what it means. I know the Estonians are celebrating because they scored higher than, it's only 2 points, so it's not significant, but they're at par with their arch rivals, the Finns. It's like a hockey game more than having any meaning in terms of anything else. Is Finland going to become a less productive country and because they dropped in their math scores? I doubt it. Is suddenly Poland the place to go because their PISA scores went up? I doubt it. This is kind of a game. The interpretation of what it means to get a high score on this test versus a middle-level score for anything, for the social well-being of the kids is very unclear to me.
Martin, thank you so much for joining us. That was Martin Carnoy, Professor at Stanford University's Graduate School of Education. You're listening to Monocle 24.